think the last show I explained that we were in an RV. We were at our friend's home and we were just staying the night in his brother's RV. And I was on one end where they had the bunk beds, and then another friend slept in the middle part, like in the living room area. Then the other two slept into the in the bedroom. And I don't know what time it was at night, but the whole RV shook, just shook. And then I was like, "What's that?" I kind of held on to something and like, "What's going on?" But no one really got up. So the next morning they said, "Gayle, did you get up to go to the bathroom?" I said, "You mean that shaking of the RV?" I said, "I am not that big that'll cause it to be shaking that much." They're like, "Well, we don't know what happened." They knew it wasn't because the three of them could see each other, but I was further on in the back and kind of up against the wall. And then I got a message, and it was like young male saying, "You go in there." No, you go in there, right? So the one says he's going to pop into the box. He referred to it as a box. And I could see him putting his foot down, and then the whole thing started to shake. Of course, then he gets up. And what's interesting is that when I feel like he got up, and we heard the dogs barking too. So we knew there was something out there, and it wasn't a person because we all looked out the windows that in our little areas. So they came in and they were kind of playing with us. But they kept talking about, going into the box and being like, "You go it, no, you do it," type of thing. And it was just, when we figured it out, it was funny. But I said, but they thought it was me. I'm going, I am not that big to cause the whole thing to shake that much, because it's probably over 20 feet, maybe 26 feet. I'm going, really? So they've come in when you least expect it. I had it too. We went up to visit a friend's place, and he says, "Oh, we've got several RVs. You guys can see whichever one you want." So I stayed in one, and there was room, and my friend goes, "I'll just sleep out in the living room." There was another, rollout bed. So I'm in there, and then the bed shakes, and I didn't fall asleep yet. So I looked because I thought maybe my friend decided to come up and, sit, I'll sleep in the bed. It wasn't her. Then I felt like in the corner of my eye, I could see them to my left, tall, standing in the kind of like right in the shadows. You really can't see them, but I felt like it was a little snicker. I'm going, "Oh, really? Okay, you got me. Okay, I know you're here. Thank you." And I said, "Now can I go to bed?" And then he was gone. So you never know.
What are the Sasquatch teaching you about yourself, and what are they teaching you about the universe and connection as a whole?
So they provide me a bigger picture of the universe, but mainly is that we still need to love each other, to exist, to take care of where we live. All that stuff comes in, but that they're there to help us. And that's a difference. Most people say, "Well, they're coming in to invade and stuff." I'm like, no, I don't get that. They're kind of just watching. If you listen to some stories with they call them the First Nations or the indigenous cultures that were there, there's stories where they worked together.
Right.
And then over time, I don't know if what it became them, they became civilized. Things started to change. So I think they want us to go back to where we can coexist and work with each other. But I think the commonality right now is the fact that we wish to be able to help each other heal. I do feel like one day I may come across when they need me to help heal them, and I'll be that one. I'll be able to go with no problems. I don't think I would even hesitate. So it's coexisting with a species that lives among us, but they are living in fear because of what man has done to them in the past. So I hear the stories about, we were attacked and all this, or that like rocks were being thrown at us, and they're trying to make us go away. I said, well, how would you feel if a stranger just walked into your living room? Like, hello, this is their home.
If you want fear, why don't you just go to spend your vacation in Chicago?
Yeah.
You see what human beings are all about.
Yeah, then that's where we need to find that being able to live and coexist together, because that's the only way we as a species will survive with the other species. and that we learn from each other and not just think that we know everything, or we're the superior one. So you asked about the personal side of it. Personal lesson for me is just that, to become more, I guess, self-assured in my gifts, and not to be afraid to speak up about the things that I believe in. So, before it was, oh no, what if somebody sees me because I'm talking about, Bigfoot or Sasquatch? I'm going, I can't unsee what I saw. I've had firsthand experiences. I always ask for proof. So sometimes you got to be careful what you ask for, because then you get them. And the fact that I saw things when other people weren't there, who were there didn't see, it kind of made me go, oh, maybe I made it up, right? And they're like, no, you didn't. So that was a doubt. And then next time I had encounter, there were 7 others. So they know to help me to reassure myself that I can feel better about it. And so now I said, I'm just telling you what I saw, whether they believe what I saw or not, it's up to them. I even questioned myself the first encounter. And here I come back to Colorado, and I'm going to have to tell my husband and my boys, they're not really into this stuff, the woo-woo stuff. But when I told them, they said, well, I don't know if I believe in that kind of stuff, but Mom, we believe you. So they know what I experienced was true because you could see it on my face. And so I don't ask them you have to believe, just saying, but they believe I experienced it. I say, well, good. So if you come with me, no, Mom, we're not going to go camping with you. They're like, forget that. You've got some strange things going on whenever you go. But I think it's part of us getting outside of our normal, and going into their home territory. That helps. So you can connect both sides. So they come to us a lot, like I say, through the portals. Some of the messages that I was receiving from them before, it's like I keep getting that validated. So they say, well, Gayle, how much do you need proof? Well, I don't need any more. I'm good. And that's why I will never take people to where I've encountered stuff, partly because unless I know they're coming from their heart space, you never know how they're going to react. There's too many people out there that's trying to prove their existence. So you don't need to prove their existence. We know they're there. And that's all that matters. They work with us. When we're not chosen ones, we just are in the right sync with them, and we work with them.
It's us. It's our choice that
Exactly.
we make to be with them, because they're coming to a lot of people, but a
Right.
lot of people just can't continue on with them like you have. And so it's more about you and who you are being compatible with learning from them. And so you did it. You were the one that said, okay, I'm going to learn here. I'm going to open myself up to this understanding. And that's what they're looking for when they come to us. Some people just can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
You did.
Well,
Yeah,
there's a lot of people that come to me, and then they'll say, because I'm going to tell them, like, maybe my guide's right there working with me. So I said, oh, okay, well, let me tell you something. First I said, do you believe in Bigfoot or Sasquatch? And they're like, I don't know. I said, well, because sometimes their guide is standing right behind them. Or, if they're on the table, they're right there. So I explain. And they're like, I can feel them. I said, exactly. That's what it takes
Yep.
to do this. Nobody has to prove anything.
Mm-mm.
If you believe and you sense them, that's all that matters. So we don't have to go on and prove, because sometimes that can be a detriment to their kind.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, we actually can't. And we actually, from everything that I've been told and everything that I've seen, we're not in charge of proving them anyway.
Right.
They are.
Yeah. Yep.
They're the ones who will decide
That is so
how this
true.
is going to go. And
Mhm.
we just got to be in that place that you're in and that we're in to just accept this. This is what it is. Yes, you can go with me. You can understand, but I can't make you believe anything. You have to open up
Right.
yourself because we're sure not going to prove it. If you look at all the studies and the things that have come up that, oh, yeah, it was going to be proven, it was going to be this, it was going to be that. And what happened to those studies?
Mm-hmm.
They
Yep.
never ever really done anything. Oh yeah, they proved, mitochondrial and that type of stuff. And there's been several studies. There's not just one or two even. And that was one of the things Kashima told me. Humans aren't in charge of this. They think they are, but they think they're in charge of everything is how it is. And boy, when we come to that realization, it takes so much off of us to have to be concerned about worrying, am I going to out them? Am I going to do
Mm-hmm.
this or am I going to do that? And, so they're the ones that are going to choose if they want to be proven.
Right.
And, to me,
Like I
that's like,
said, when the places that I've been to, and I think I want to go back there because I want to experience it again. And we've gone to the same place probably 8, 9 times, and not all the
Yeah.
time we'll have an experience.
Yep.
The first time, it was gentle enough where we were able to kind of let go of our fear,
Yeah.
and the first thing they did was they hoots and calls and all of this noises, and I'm just like, what is that? And we're in the mountains, there's nobody else there, and it was so close. I thought, so my logical brain's trying to put it together. Maybe there was some ceremony and people got out and they're just, yay, but you go, there's nobody here. And then that wave of fear kind of hit us. And it's normal because that's our, and it's like, okay. Then our friend Garrett says, stay in your heart space, stay in your heart space. I'm like, okay. But he goes, now you need to go walk up to the tree stump and give your offerings. We had our hands full, like corn and all this stuff. And none of us wanted to go by ourselves. It was dark. And he goes, okay, the two of you guys, you can go together, two of you. So we put the stuff down and like a little kid put it and then kind of rushed back. But as each person, what they would go up, the fear started to lessen. And then we felt more like the happiness and joy of what we were leaving for them. So our normal fight or flight kind of calmed down, and we were okay with that. Then we went back to our little camp area, and we heard a cat meowing. Like, well, we were looking for it. It sounded like a kitten, and it kept meowing, and then it stopped, and we're like, it was like there was a bush right next to us. There was no cat. I said, that wasn't a cat. They're just helping us to calm down, to be, to get used to their presence. So I call it desensitizing us, and it's like people, my friends in Australia, they said, oh, we see eye shine all the time. And I said, I never saw it before. I could feel their presence. Oh, I did see some red, but this was not red when I saw it. It was whitish silver. That's why I thought it was a motorcycle headlight or something like that.
That's the light of life you're looking at.
Well,
Their body is so full of light that it projects out their eyes. And
it
this
was
is one of the
so
hallmarks of a very high being.
very beautiful, and that feeling of, I felt her love, and I knew she was female. They're like, well, what does she look like? And I said, my eyes can see the outline, but my heart, and I started to explain what the emotions that she was giving off. And then she started asking questions, and I'm looking around like, who said that? They're like, she's talking to you. I said, I guess. I said, I don't know why she's talking to me. He said, Gayle, you talk to them all the time. I said, but not to a real live one that's in front of me. I'm talking to spirit level. So everyone's around me is laughing at me because it's like, I'm just in shock. And they're like, what? Of course it would be you. I'm like, no, why couldn't it be one of you guys who's seen them before? But I guess it was part of her connecting with me, helping me to understand and being able to feel comfortable that doesn't matter if they're, 15, 20 feet tall, which still freaks me out. They are heart-centered and they're there as observers. And sometimes they were able to help. So can a groups, go and experience them? Yes. As long as everybody's coming in with the heart-centered part of it, not going in to prove that their existence, but just to experience. But you also got to be open to what the experience will be, because sometimes it's hilarious after the fact, but in the beginning you may be, okay, that scared the out of me, but I'm okay now.
Like Arla said, we were bringing at that point earlier, how many people they reach out to. But the thing is, if your heart's not open to the experience and you're willing to take it further, then it's not going to go any further. So they're reaching way more people than have a relationship similar to what we have now, because they're not open to it. They're not willing to accept it. They're not gonna take it any further. But yeah, I think they're reaching a lot of people.
And they are channeling messages through other people too. It's most of us have to just accept it and let it flow. Like I said, that's why I think I'm able to do what I do, because they take me out totally. So I can't say, oh, I'm going to be judged by what they're saying. I'm like, I'm gone. And then I'm come back like, hi, I'm back, which I am fine with. I am, I don't feel I'm being used. I feel like we are working together.
Yeah.
So I'm open to all of that.
Yeah, with that much love, energy, and whatever going on, I don't see how you could ever feel like you're being used. It's just like, no,
it's just there. It's just the beauty of it.
Yeah,
But
it's a
they do
whole
have sense of
different.
humors.
It's a whole different energy than the love man thinks of.
Right.
It's not. You can't even compare it to a human understanding of love. It far surpasses that. And so when you feel it and they come and you have this agreement for them to speak through you, it's not about trust or human love or anything else. It's about being in that space of what Kashima calls the knowing, which is that love that so many of us are now understanding, in which, Brian calls it love zap, and you feel it and you go, whoa, that's nothing else exists. No problems, no hate, no anything
nothing.
exists. Everything is within that energy.
And
It's
there's
almost
no
hard to
judgment.
believe them
There's no
too.
judgment in that energy either.
Exactly.
No judgment. There's
Exactly.
no division. There's none of that lower vibrational stuff. It's just a beautiful connectiveness.
But it is kind of sad when you're not connected anymore. You're like, you really miss it. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like that comfortable blanket. Somebody took it away from you. Like, I can make it, but yeah, I just remember you kind of go through a withdrawal of, wow. I guess that's what unconditional love feels like.
Yeah. Well, it's the kind of love that I've never felt other than before them, the kind of love that can instantly bring you from complete sober mood to like weeping unabashedly with tears flowing down your face. And, like that's how powerful it is. It's just like, wow.
Yeah.
Or as the Hindus say, truth is the consciousness of bliss. And when you're in that love, that's the truth.
Yeah.
And that's why I said, when people, whether they believe or not, I'm okay. It really doesn't bother me anymore. But when I listen to the messages, I'm just amazed, going, wow. I'm just honored to be able to be the vessel for them to speak. Sometimes they come through. I've been checking, Brian, by the way, saying, do you guys want to say anything? They're like, keep going. But it's not that just me. We can all do this. We just kind of have to stop stopping ourselves. And you know, becoming a channel and stuff, it wasn't easy because I'm such a control freak. So that's probably why I disappear. But when I first started, I would hold back. Like, do you feel that? I'm like, what are they saying? I don't know. I haven't let go. They said, just breathe and just, you know, said, don't worry about what's being said or who's coming in. They're all going to be good. So when I got used to that, it was okay. And then I thought, okay, I can channel one. Nope. The first outing that I ever channeled, there were 5 that came in. And I had no idea. All I remember was kind of being scared at first because we heard the footsteps around us. It's like, okay, no, it's all good. Yes, it's dark, but it's all good. And then afterwards, just feeling, wow, that was amazing. What happened? So I think more people are going to be able to do this just by opening up their hearts.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you don't have to go into the woods. They come
Mm-mm.
to see you. They'll visit you.
Yeah, absolutely. So do they have any messages for us, personal or for people in general?
Who's got the respiratory it's like you have a cold that's not releasing they're saying something in here. It's like phlegm gets stuck.
I think that might be me.
Okay, well,
Okay, Mr. Beans.
Both of us, maybe.
Yeah.
Drink more hot tea, herbal teas. With honey. They're showing me the bees with honey to loosen it up. Steam bath, open up the lungs. Peppermint. I don't know if it's oil or the plant form, but she's showing me like grabbing the peppermint and kind of like rubbing it to let the oils out and then doing this. So she's saying that should help to release it. It's like having a cold that just can't get out of your system. This will help to pull it out. Who's got the knee problems? Like, I don't know if it's,
Is that you,
I don't know
Mom?
if it's, is it swelling or is it bone? They're showing it's kind of more like bone rather than muscle, if this makes sense. It's coming in from the bones rather than a torn ligament, you know, meniscus moved. Does that make sense? Is that, oh, that's you? Okay, they're saying they come in and they work on your knees.
Yeah, they do.
So
They and many. No, I'm finally back to hiking, and my goal is to be
okay,
able to do long distance again. And I've been dealing with a lot of health issues since the wreck, which totally took my mobility away. And so I'm up to 2 miles now a day.
okay,
And it is that I feel it and of course I always ask them, and then I have a table in my room, a vibroacoustic table. And I will go in and lay on that, and it's like I'm circled.
yeah,
Like
they're like they're watching you.
yeah. And it could be anything. I mean, because she was always there, the grandmother was always there, but whoever else is there changes from Star Nation beings to others of
Mhm.
them to and even other beings. But yeah, because I'm so excited about being able to hike again. And yeah, I mean, yeah, yesterday was a rough day. So
They're
but
telling it's okay. She's must be your guide, the grandmother energy feeling. She's like, you don't have to go in and like, you know, like try to go 3 miles.
no,
Take it easy, take it slow. It's
yeah,
like you're undoing some of the work that they've been doing.
no,
And she's just like,
no.
relax, you're gonna get there.
Yeah, it's taken me months to get to 2 miles.
Mhm.
So and I'm fine with that, and I can ask for their help, at any point, even when I'm hiking. It's interesting. When I'm down on the ridge where and in the healing area where the circles are, I don't hurt at all. I
Yeah,
can go up and down and over rocks and everything. But I also walk another path that is it's a flat path, except that it is up and down, up and down, up and down.
that's the one
And
that they're more concerned about.
yes, yes. And so I've split it now. I can do 2 miles a day, but I do them separate. I
Yeah.
don't do them one after another. But
Stay
yeah,
more, sit longer in the healing place.
well,
Because
my
as you are,
tent,
they are also working on you too.
yeah, my tent is down there now, put up. And so I'm sleeping every night in the tent right there at the circle. And if the little kids that are down there, the hairy kids, would stop zipping and playing with the zipper on the tent.
Do you
uh,
see lights while you're there? Because there's some visitors that come in while you're there too.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. There's a lot. There is, even now, it's like a portal. It's called an energy center. I do even have a picture of it on a GPS deal showing it and showing where it's at. And it is an energy space where we can come and go. And anything can come and go in that area. It's one of the places where I've been taken up into the ships and some other things too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm there all night long now, right there by the circle. And I usually go to sleep once the kids quit messing with everything. And I sleep till in the morning. Good sleep. So,
But
but thank you for that. And thank you, grandmother, for coming in.
Have either of you ever felt when you're hiking and whatever that they are actually pushing you along? Like sometimes it's so effortless, like they're assisting you. I've
Oh,
had
yeah.
that quite a bit.
I always
Like,
find it fascinating. Like, how far have we gone? Wow, somebody must be like levitating us because my body didn't feel it.
yeah, exactly. Like they're just pushing you along. I've even experienced where I'm going uphill, and it's psychological when you're going uphill sometimes. If you don't look at it and think about it, it's not as hard as if you're thinking, I got to go way
Yeah.
uphill. But
Mhm.
I remember going uphill and it looked like I was going downhill. Like just like they could do like a lot of stuff to motivate you and to push you along and to guide you up on hikes and stuff.
I heard the trees can do that too.
Mm-hmm.
This friend of mine named Don, and he went with his wife to go hiking after work, and he was exhausted, and he just asked the trees for help, and it's like
Yeah.
he went all the way up this mountain. He felt like he was being lifted, and he came
Mm.
flying back down, and then he got in his car to go home after a couple of hours, and he was like all recharged. So it's kind of interesting how
Yep.
you ask nature, and
Yeah.
something happens.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have so many helpers just
Mhm.
right here with us. And so many people don't acknowledge that they're right there. They're our neighbors. So and they are so willing to help us and to share the love that they naturally have too. I love that story, Beans.
We normally have something, whether it's crystals or shells or tobacco or something as we hike. So you can leave, as we call the offerings, as a thank you. And we've been having some really nice experiences where I've walked by this place so many times and we didn't stop to go in there. It's like, there's a huge vortex here. And we'll spend, like we thought was 10 minutes. It's like, oh, but that's an hour. It's like, what? And we're playing with our little divining rods and they're spinning. And I'm going, I didn't know they could do that. So it's worth it. It's like saying, thank you for honoring us. And we're going to, honor you. And so it's just amazing.
Mm.
No, I guess,
Elementals are amazing. The elements themselves, like air, the water, the rock. That's just amazing.
yeah. Anything else, Gail? Are they,
I think that's it. We're
Oh,
just
tell us the future. Tell us if we're gonna if the meteor is gonna crash, or tell us if what anything good's gonna happen. Are we gonna ascend next week or?
have fun is what they're saying. But more people need to have fun and find the joy in life rather than finding all the bad things. If we seek the joy in life or what makes us happy, we're more in alignment with them.
oh, yeah,
And that's ascension.
Mhm.
That's ascending right there.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. It's just it's an energy vibration. Yeah.
But it's funny when you said, what's the future? Because I always say, well, what is ascension going to look like? And so you hear all of these stories. And I said, the only thing that I keep seeing is we will be coexisting with other beings. And we will be the ones who will help others accept them because we're open to it. And I think that's why we go through a lot of experiences, because again, they're desensitizing us so that we don't freak out. I says, yeah, okay, just let me keep working on that. If I run, it's okay. Just give me like 5 minutes. I'll be back.
Oh, I know what I wanted to ask you. I mean, we all know that it's a personal journey, and what they're doing, we're learning about ourselves is probably number one. But when you're representing them and you've got a connection with them, what do they hope that we do? To speak their truth? What are their hopes for the people to share that are connected with them?
Number one, to take care of ourselves too, because most of us who they connect with, we give too much of us. And so they're working on healing us as well. I'm like, oh, that
Yeah.
makes sense. But the other piece too is that it's not a chore, or it's not something that they need us to. We have just chosen from our hearts to want to make that transition for them to connect with us.
Right.
better.
So we're sort of facilitating that by talking about them to make it like eventually like it's going to be normal, where they can come out and, oh, I'm getting the big full body rush. So we're kind of facilitating that possibility in the future by opening up about them. Yeah, that's absolutely makes sense.
There's a
I think we should be asking you questions, Brian, because you always know what's going on.
with all the stuff that's coming through.
Well,
You
I
do.
mean, hey,
I'm not. It's not joking. Yeah, you do, because there's some. You're connected in there.
Mhm.
well, yeah, but I'm also one of the hosts of the show, so I have to ask questions like I don't know anything, right?
But that's the reason why you're the host too. And part of
That's
this
right.
experiences
Well,
is
no, but
to-
I mean, I just can't stand here and I don't agree. I know, but with a knowing, you just can't stand here and just like,
Yeah.
you feel it. you gotta talk about it to the people, right?
Yeah.
well, it's
I
like
was
when you
just
find
thinking
people-
that about you, Brian, before you said that. I was thinking he answers or asks such good questions, and I know Brian so well, and I know he already thinks something about this. He already has his own thoughts on this, and I was just like, he is such a good host.
Well, that's how you have to do it, right?
Yep, you're
Because
good. You're good.
I ask questions. It doesn't mean I don't know something about it, but for the sake of the people listening and for
Yeah.
everybody, you have to ask the questions, right?
Yep, and you do good. You really do.
But
Why,
it helps
thank you.
people to accept because you don't talk down to people. This way of communicating and sharing is so comfortable
Yeah.
that even if you had some doubts, like, well, wait a minute, I remember watching and this certain person said this and that. Having the different people and the different experiences, that is what it's about, because we're not all cookie cutter approach. We're all
Mm-mm.
unique in that sense, and we have different experiences. But ultimately, it's for us to help our own kind,
Yeah.
Yep,
you know,
that's it.
and including helping ourselves.
Yeah.
Yep.
I got
Wow.
a little nudge in the back of me, like saying, "Are you listening?" I was like, "Yes, I'm working on taking care of me."
Uh,
I am
Yeah.
so beautiful to me.
I gotta keep reminding myself. Yep.
Yeah. Well, it really is I mean, you said earlier how big an honor it is to represent them and to
yeah,
speak their words or whatever. It really does feel like it's a privilege. It's just unbelievably, it's an unbelievable gift
Mhm.
because the word they're what they have to share is so profound, and the trust that they give the people that share those truths is humbling.
Yeah. That's that. I
Yeah.
mean, I always feel that way after. It's just like, wow, that was amazing. I don't know what was said, but I can feel the
yeah.
energy within. And sometimes it takes me a while to come back. So then, then it kind of opens up that, oh,
Yeah.
you want to ask Gayle some questions because she's kind of in between. And if you ask me 3 days later, I'm like, I have no idea what I said.
No, I have to ask you this, and I always just ask this just to be funny, just for a little humor. But are the your Sasquatch people that are listening in, are they fans of the Pork and Bean Show?
Absolutely. They are. And you get more than you realize. Every time you have someone able to share their story, it helps them so much more.
Yeah.
Helps the
So
Sasquatch people and
yes,
and the
and
people who are
everyone,
sharing it.
right?
Everybody, yeah.
Everybody. It's it's a healing process for everyone. And also, like people who say, "Wow, I don't believe in that." Just, well, we're all regular people.
Yeah.
So, you don't have to judge us. We don't have to prove anything to you. Open your hearts and see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you were going to suggest to somebody, or somebody came up to you and said, Gayle, I want to have a relationship, or I want to meet the forest people, or I want to know about them, what would you suggest?
First thing I would tell them is, what kind of relationship are you talking about? What is the intention? Is it you're asking them to give you something? Or are you saying, I want to give you something, or saying it's a relationship, it's a give and take? If it's a relationship that you're really seeking, that's what it will be. But if you're wanting to ask them for help because it's all about you, that's not going to happen. Or if you sacrifice yourself for them, they're not going to like that either.
Mm-mm.
So open your heart and be patient. And be careful what you ask for. So they have a great sense of humor. And sometimes just like, they will just do the funniest things. I mean, I still remember I talked to my friend about it. She's in Washington State, and she was like, I'm ready. I'm so ready, because where she lived, there was so much activity. So it was during the day and she went out. She goes, okay, I'm ready. Like, I'm really paraphrasing, like, show yourselves to me. She goes, and then something like whacked her on the butt and she yelled, I'm not ready. And she ran away. That was so mean. And of course, there was no one else there but her. But that was them. They were there and they were messing with her. It's like, we connect all the time. What are you, what are you saying you're ready? You've been working with us. So I don't understand.
Gayle, did you know that when Arla was about 5 or 6 years old, she had a juvenile walk right up to her in her yard?
Oh, wow. That makes
Right
sense.
face to face. Why do you tell her a little bit about that, Arla?
Well, I was at my grandmother's and I loved playing in the dirt with sticks, and I would make these little houses and structures and stuff. And I was outside playing in the dirt, sitting down, and I heard somebody walk up, and I thought it was my grandmother. And I looked up and it wasn't. It was a young juvenile male. And I could very definitely tell it was a boy. It was, but to me, that was just like, oh, wow. So it was a boy,
Mhm.
so we stood there and looked at each other for a little while. And he turned around and walked off, and I jumped up and went in and told my granny what I saw, and I asked her, I said, "What was that, Granny?" And she told me, she said, "What do you think it was?" And she let me think about it. And then she began to teach me about them. And so I've known them on a personal level since I was 6. And through the years, they were always around. I knew they were there. We played. I never was afraid in the woods. There was always somebody there with me. I was in trouble constantly because I'd run off and then I'd be in trouble by my mom. But um, but I also know that um, this particular one, um, I did meet again because where I met him is only like 50 miles as crow flies, if it's that far from where I live uh, right now. And so that was interesting to for him to come and begin to tell me about his family now and told me, several other things. But yeah, and I'm 73 years old, so I know I've known a lot of years, but that doesn't mean I know it all either.
Did
For
he
sure.
tell you why he showed himself to you?
Well, he didn't at the time when he was young, but when we talked later, which has only been probably 6 or 7 years ago, maybe a little longer, what he told me was he knew me, but I've known them through many lifetimes. I mean, going back even before the earth was formed. And he came back to me to tell me about his family. He had a mate. She died. He had 4 boys. He also told me that how she died. And he told me too that I could look it up and it would prove that there was a flood down that area at that time. And what happened, he told me she forgot herself. And what had happened was in that particular river, there was an old bridge area that had fallen down, but there's still iron pylons and rocks, huge boulders and things down in there. And she had been down on the river, and the flood would just come through like you see these things that happen. It was a real steep bank. And she got caught, pushed under up against between a rock and one of those huge steel pylons that was down in there. And I thought about it for a while and I said, "How did that happen? She could have gotten out of that." And he said, "She forgot herself." And I asked him what that meant. And what he said was that is how they can die like that from anything, is if they forget who they are. And one of the things that I've seen is that they love this existence on this earth. They chose to be here. They knew we were coming. They knew we were going to have help. And they get so busy in their daily lives of living here in this existence. When that happened, she forgot herself. She forgot who she was. She forgot what she could do.
Right.
And so she lost her life. And that had been several years ago. He gave me the year so that I would know. I could go look up and see if that there had been a flood there, and there was.
Yeah.
And so that was another thing. And Kashima had talked about them dying too, and how those things can happen. So yes, they can die. You know, I've heard people say, oh, they can't die because, you know, they can just do something else. But when they get into that space of forgetting who they truly are, and I think that applies for us a lot too, when we get
Such a powerful
into,
teaching.
yeah,
Yep.
you know, we get into those positions too. We forget who we are.
Mhm.
You know, we forget what we're able to do. And that is one of the main things that they're bringing back to us now, just who we really are and what we're able to do. And
Yeah.
I think that probably him teaching me that and wanting me to know that was a multi-layered message, which I get a lot from them. It's never always just straight and to the point. It's like, oh, I got to peel this onion another one because there's something else there. And I may not do it right then, but somewhere down the line, I'll stop and revisit that and have to pull another layer off.
Do you think, I don't take it that you had any fear when you met this individual for the first time.
No.
Do you think that might have been partially because you subconsciously you knew who it was?
Well,
There
I
was
was,
some knowing there, or
oh yeah, I'm sure on that level, but I was never taught to fear anything. From the time I
right?
was born, that my grandmother was instrumental in helping me to understand that fear is something I create. I allow to happen because I don't understand something. And that's one of the reasons why she said to me when I asked her, what was that, Granny? Well, what do you think it was?
Mhm.
She
Yeah.
wanted me to think about what I had seen and would I remember that connection
Yeah.
with
You know,
them.
yeah. That's so powerful, fear because we don't understand something. That our whole society is ruled by that, like fear and the bad reactions we have to it because we don't understand it. That's something that we have to. That's one of the things that the Sasquatch did for me. They removed my fear of many things, and I just asked. And so when you don't have any fear, you can't go into those lower vibrational practices and thoughts and all that stuff. So that was very, very powerful for people to consider. If fear and not understanding something leads to where we are today, but where we hopefully we won't be for forever. But that's powerful stuff. Something to
Yeah.
think
And
about.
don't you think Gail getting over that fear in the beginning just almost set you free
Yeah.
from so many other fears in life? Just getting over that one basic fear of this huge, loud, and then making that deeper connection. It's just like, well, you know, and I don't look at fear as, oh my gosh, I've run up on the edge of this cliff and I almost ran over. Oh my God, that scared me. I don't look at that as the fear that we're talking about.
Mhm.
That's totally a different thing. It's on a totally different level.
I'm so glad you're talking about that because, this whole world is run off of fear.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
most of the fear is imaginal and
Yes.
memory. It's not fear that's right in front of you. But when you get fear of a Sasquatch being or a star being, or maybe even whatever it is, it's really blows your circuit breaker. Then automatically, all the other petty fears that you have in your life just don't seem so powerful anymore. You
Right.
know what I mean? They just
Mhm.
don't
Yeah.
seem to have the traction that they used to.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, in a roundabout, bizarre way, when the Sasquatch are scaring you at night and throwing rocks at your trailer, and you're gonna you're hiding in the bathroom and stuff. That's a gift, and in my opinion, and that's a gift because now you got something real to be afraid of, and all the rest of the stuff is like you don't even talk about it anymore. It's all, oh my God, it's the Sasquatch going to come and look at me. He's looking at me. Oh my God.
Yeah. So Gayle, is there anything else you wanted to share? Any poignant stories or something, or heartfelt stories you wanted to share?
I think we're done.
Okay.
Yeah. It's all of a sudden it's just quiet. So yeah.
Yeah, well, we covered a lot of stuff. So obviously, I usually ask people how the Sasquatch changed the guest life, but I think it's pretty evident with you. You know, that's basically what we've been talking about. They basically taught you about yourself, right?
Right. And you know, then the trusting part, I think they have a hard time understanding insecurities. You know, they're like, well, look at all the things you do. It's like, well, I don't consider that, like, don't put me under the spotlight. They're like, but
Yeah.
you do it all the time. So yeah, but if I had a choice, you know, so that's what they're working with me right now, to get out of the sidelines and
Yeah.
start doing this, doing what I've been feeling like I should do. And yeah, things are starting to happen.
So I think I mentioned this last show, but I would be honored, and RE, my clan leader, would be honored, because he's the guy who sends out the invitations. If you wanted to come up here in September and join the RE campout.
I would love to, but I don't know if this September. Like I said, I got some health issues. So, but we can plan that it's gonna, because I know it's gonna happen. And maybe,
Well, yeah.
It's one of those the calling's there. So yep, I'm coming. Just bear with me.
Okay. Well, you know, you're always invited. So
Thank you.
I
Yeah,
guess
I really look forward to that, because I know that'll be amazing.
Well, Penny Rummel sends love, and Renee Music, she's here saying hello to everybody and saying hello to you. Let me see. Who else? Jenny Jablonski. Hey, Jenny. She's saying hello to everyone. And Kelly Thompson, you know her? She says, allow yourself to receive.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a lot of people here. Kenneth Collins, who was on last week. He's just happy to see everybody. And we're here. We have Mike Bodowitz, who was in the house for a little while. He has to go. He had to go, but yeah. So you got a lot of love from a lot of people.
love is in the air.
Keep doing what you're doing, because it's really helping everyone. Like I said, you know, the speakers, the visitors that we have coming in, but every individual that listens, you make a difference. So again, I'm thankful that you do this, and please.
Well, with all due humility, every show we feel them here. They're here every show, and you know, so we're just doing what they want us to do and sharing the words they want us to share, and it's an honor, and thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome. They just showed me a vision of them sitting there and being interviewed. They say they would be in the box and talking, and I'm just laughing. They're ready. They're ready to.
Well, you know what? That's funny you said that, because if you want to do a show somewhere down the road where they actually want to be interviewed, we had a show where we had a lady channel them, and I don't know if it was I don't know if it was an interview exactly, but it was Barbara Jean Lindsay. It was profound.
Oh
So
man,
you can put that out
the
there.
whole IRE clan showed up, and then the Zoom started doing this.
Yeah.
It had me pretty emotional, especially, you know, I can't put one moment above the other, but I think when Little Bud said, "Hi, friend," you know, that was pretty touching.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, my friend, you know.
Yep.
But anyway, if I'll put that out there, Gayle. Okay. Why don't you ask them if they want to come on and be interviewed on the Pork and Bean Show? You could be the conduit of that, and that would be a beautiful thing.
Or I'd put it out there that any other people who channel, because you're not the only one, and I think there's a lot of people, at least a dozen or 20 people who are channeling them on a daily basis.
Right.
We have our doors open to do a full channeling on the Pork and Bean Show live. I think that would be epic.
What happened there?
That'll be great. Maybe getting more than one going on at the same time. That'll be fun.
Yeah. But it seems like you're emotional about it, Gail, like they want to do it or something. It seems like
Yeah. They do.
you
They
well,
do.
you let us know, because we love you
Okay.
on the show, and that would be great. And your heart's in just the right place. So we would
Thank you.
love to hear, them talking through you.
This is
So-
another theme of the Frank and Bean show. So a lot of our guests end up crying. I wonder what that's. Is it something you said, Brian?
Well, I was crying a little bit too, and I was thinking of Bud. That was so tender, eh, Arla?
Yeah.
It's just, it comes from the heart, That's what like I said, it's when they're no longer in our presence, it's kind of, we go through some withdrawal in a way, going, oh, I kind of want to just stay in that.
Yeah, one of the things RE said was, "We are not of your time," or I think that's what he said, or which means a lot of things, like.
Mhm.
But that's a heavy, yeah. I mean, we could get into that, but probably not, not this time. But
All right. Well, thank you
Okay.
very much, and we'll touch base later. And nice meeting everyone new, and love being here.
Thanks for showing up.
Awesome.
I'm gonna reach out to you about that channeling show. If they want to actually be interviewed, RE agreed to it, and then this whole family wanted to do it. So if you want to do that, let's keep that in mind.
Okay.
So on behalf of Port Cunningham and the world's handsomest man, Frank Oliver Beans, this has been the Pork and Beans show. And thank you, Gayle Fowler, for showing up and gracing us with your wisdom, your heart, and your kindness, and words from your people. And of course, thank you to Arla. Always.
And look how nice Arla looks. She looks like she's going out to a party, or it's like a formal.
Yeah.
Somebody getting married or something. You're gorgeous.
That's a,
Earrings and
I
makeup.
had a doctor's appointment.
Oh, I hope he
That's
was a
why I
cute
did-
doctor.
Eh.
Hey, and anybody wants to loves the show and wants to tell their people people that they know to come and subscribe and join us. The more people that hear about this, the better for us, better for the Sasquatch people. And if you want to check out my YouTube channel, it's Sasquatch BC, the true story, the Pork and Beans show, and a lot of good content on there, including every show we've ever done. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
And
Bye.
thanks everybody for showing up. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.